Colette'sMacarons.com.
Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Living Healthy and Aging Well. My name is Ken Hageland, and we are broadcasting from the AM 950 radio station that overlooks beautiful Bryant Lake Regional Park located in Eden Prairie, Minnesota. It is another beautiful day here in the Twin Cities, and I am so grateful to be here with you today. I hope all of you listening are doing well. We are on the air every Saturday from noon to 1 to talk about your health and your life. We cover a wide range of topics to help you and your loved ones improve and enjoy your quality of life. We have another wonderful show on tap for you today. Joining me in a few minutes will be Laura DeVore, author, educator, and experienced licensed therapist, is here to discuss her book, Darkness Was My Candle, and her own healing journey. Laura DeVore is a writer and catalyst for transformational change for both individuals and systems. Her wisdom comes from the field of psychology, transpersonal development, and spiritual psychology. Most importantly, it comes from the inside out, from facing the darkest aspects of human experience and mining the dark for the treasures that can be found. You'll enjoy listening to my conversation today with Laura DeVore. I want to thank all of you that leave us messages on our radio show phone line. We appreciate hearing from you, and we welcome your comments, questions, and topics for future shows. Also, if you are interested in being a guest on our radio show, please call or text us at 612-999-3426. You can also contact us on our website at livinghealthyradio.com. There you can find information about upcoming guests as well as listen to our previous shows, and we look forward to hearing from you. We are adding new listeners to the show each week, not only here in the Twin Cities of Minnesota, but also throughout the country. You can find podcasts for all of our radio shows on the AM 950 radio website. And we can also be found on your favorite streaming service, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and many others. You can also watch our broadcast live on the radio station's Facebook page at AM 950 Radio. If you have a question for us today, there are two ways to reach us. First, by calling the AM 950 radio station, and our friendly show producer, Tom, will get your call on the air. Our phone number here is 952-946-6205. Once again, 952-946-6205. Or you can directly text us your question at 612-999-3426. Now, don't worry. If you missed our contact numbers, I'll repeat them throughout the show. All right, I want to welcome my guest for today's show, Laura DeVore, author, educator, and experienced licensed therapist. Welcome to the show, Laura.
Thank you so much. It's wonderful to be here.
Oh, well, I'm so glad to have you here, and it's great that we have a connection through a colleague of mine, and as we're talking before the show, a lot of life experience. And I'm looking so forward to hearing about that. Our audience always loves to learn about the guest on my show. And would you mind just giving us a background of you and how you came up to write a book? And we'll get into all that detail here, but just a brief background would be really helpful.
Sure. I was actually writing another book, and I had a writing mentor at the time. And she writes a book every single year and takes the summer off. And so we were finishing up our time together, and she asked me what I was going to do that summer. And I said, I'm not sure. I have a lot of time off, and I'm thinking about a road trip. And she said, how about a road trip out to me? You could be of great help to me. And I said, sure, what do you have in mind? And she was writing a book on the situation with the Yakima elders in northern Washington State, and she also wanted to go to the Hanford nuclear site and wanted me to come along, both be her driver as well as her scribe. And so I drove out to California, and we did that together for a couple of days. She had me doing some research for her, and suddenly on the screen I found some of my history. And it was a history of having been put illegally into a state mental hospital. And later Dina asked me how the research was going, and I said, okay. She said, what else is going on with you? And I told her, and she said, and why didn't you ever tell me you were in a state hospital? And in those moments, I realized I still carried that shame. And so I never talked about that or dealt with it. And by the end of that trip, I knew that I needed to set aside the book on hospice I was writing, and I needed to write the book that is now Darkness Was My Candle, An Odyssey of Survival and Grace.
Wow. That's
That trip changed my
I was going to
life.
say that was a transformational trip.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. In many, many ways.
So thank you for that background. So then, for that, you've obviously done a lot in your life, a lot in your career. So what inspired you to pursue your current life's work, and then how did you get into your current profession you're a licensed, an LICSW, a licensed
Right.
social worker.
And I have been for many, many years,
Yeah.
even long before I wrote the book. But what a lot of people don't know is when you have the kind of history I had, I seldom told anyone. I felt so different than most people. I was concerned that people would feel less of me. And then when I decided to write the book, I knew that I had to let go of that, and that no matter what, I had to be transparent and live my life from a place of transparency. And you know what? Nobody thought less of me. And I got celebrated for my courage to write the book and to finally speak out about my history.
Right. Wow. Well, throughout the years I've been doing this show, it's interesting how people, no matter what the situation, the condition, the trauma, the tragedy, we all initially think I'm the only person.
Right.
Isn't it just interesting how we have 8 billion people on this earth, and we think
Absolutely.
we're the only ones that have gone through this or are going through it?
Absolutely. As I do therapy with other individuals, I'm very aware of that and how so many people think they're the only one and think they can never get well.
Right.
And I've gotten really good at, I think I've become very, and have always been very creative, and I'm easily inspired. And so I come up with unique ways of helping people to get what they need as they're going through therapy.
Yeah. Wow. So how long have you been seeing patients in your lifetime? How long have you been seeing as a therapist?
Probably close to 35, 40 years.
Wow.
And I also worked with an international organization, which I'm still connected to, called the Center for Mind Body Medicine out of Washington, D.C., which took me all over the world. So we worked with kids down on the Gulf Coast after the shootings there and other places where there have been shootings. We worked with Hurricane Katrina victims. We worked in Haiti after the worst earthquake ever.
Right.
And another team of people are working now in Ukraine regularly.
Yeah. So on the mind body connection, then is the focus on that one is to get people to help them get over the trauma or get
That's
over
right.
the experience that they may be kind of locked into.
Right, but it's by teaching them skills that they can use for life.
Right, life skills. Okay.
Right, and that make a profound difference.
Yeah. Do you guys ever have a chance to follow back up with some of the people that you have
Yes.
worked with to see
Absolutely.
how they're progressing? Because the thing with so much in life is,
Yes.
is it sustainable?
Right.
Are the skills that are transferred sustainable then? And
Absolutely.
Then can they
I'll tell you a quick story. When we were in Haiti, they started to have two opposing parties started to fight in the streets, and there was tear gas going off, and you name it. And we were told one day that none of our clients would be able to come because all the roads had been closed. But suddenly, an hour later, the person at the hotel we were staying in said, some of your people are coming. So we decided to sit down with who had shown up. And we went around and asked them how their night had been and how they had gotten there. And one man in particular really touched my heart. He said, last night there was tear gas pouring in through the shack we were staying in the side of the mountain because we lost our house and lost everything. And gunfire outside and all manner of things. And my children were crying and screaming and my wife was crying. And he said, I remembered an exercise you gave us during the day. And it was an imagery exercise. And he said, I didn't exactly know what I was doing, but I thought I could try. And so what he did is he took his family on an imaginary trip up into the mountains. And he said, my children fell asleep and my wife climbed over into my arms and said, you've got to keep going to these trainings, not just for your work's sake, but for our sake and your own sake. So I got up at 3 a.m. and took to the streets, stepped over 5 dead people to get here. And I would do it every day if I had to, because I knew I would be less safe with my nervous system if I didn't.
Wow. And that was after how many training sessions?
Probably 4 days.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, what a great story. Well, it's time for a short break, folks. We'll be right back to continue our conversation with Laura DeVore, author, educator, and experienced licensed therapist, to discuss her book, Darkness Was My Candle, and her own healing journey. If you have a question for us, please give us a call, 952-946-6205, or text us at 612-999-3426. I'm Ken Hageland, and you are listening to Living Healthy and Aging Well.
At Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, our job is to help you find a place for fire. Our displays include over 180 models in diverse styles, and we have over 35 burning displays. Come and experience the glow and warmth of a live fire.
Some say there are only 2 seasons in Minnesota, road construction and winter. Hi, this is Laura, and I agree there are 2 seasons in Minnesota, summer and fireplace season. I bought my wood stove for Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces in 2005, and every season after summer comes the time when we fire up the wood stove, get out our favorite music, and discover the warmth of fire. Our dog Pumpkin remembers the fire too. He stations himself right there, legs up in the air, just enjoying the warmth of the fire. With the wood stove, we are able to keep the main area of the house toasty warm, while the thermostat is set at an energy-efficient 64 degrees. Discover your fireplace season. Visit Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces today.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, out of the ordinary products and services since 1977.
Hey, it's Patrick for Zero Res. February is the month for love, so when was the last time you gave your carpet the love and attention it deserves? Maybe you've been procrastinating on the holiday post-mortem cleanup at your house. Are you worried if you got down on your hands and knees what you might see or smell? Not only is your carpet one of the biggest investments in your home, but it's also the largest air filter in your home. And what's worse, you're going to be stuck inside breathing this nasty stuff for months. Lucky for you, Zero Res is going to spread the love to you and your home. This month, get 3 rooms of carpet clean starting at just $119 and take $75 off your air duct cleaning. Call my friends at Zero Res right now, 952-ZERO-RES, or go online to ZeroResMinnesota.com and say you want the AM 950 special. A 4.9 rating on Google reviews and over 21,000 satisfied customers can't be wrong. Backward or forward spells the same. Zero Res.
Hi, I'm Mary T. Caring for others runs deep in my family. My grandmother, Rosa, was a nurse who cared for people in their homes more than a century ago. Inspired by her compassion, my mother, Margaret, and I founded the Mary T. family of companies nearly 50 years ago. Today, we continue that legacy across Minnesota, Wisconsin, Maryland, and Arizona, providing senior living, assisted living with memory care, home health, hospice care, rental housing, and support for people with disabilities. Each service is personal, creative, and focuses on the unique needs of those we serve. We also believe in joy and community, which is why we opened Crooner Supper Club in Fridley, a place to celebrate life with music, laughter, laughter, and connection. At Mary T., we're proud to be a Minnesota family company rooted in compassion, inclusion, and respect. And proud supporters of AM 950 and the values that this station represents. Visit MaryTinc.com to learn more.
Congratulations to Mary T., named one of the most admired CEOs of 2026 by the Minneapolis-St. Paul Business Journal.
All right, welcome back, everyone. You are listening to Living Healthy and Aging Well, where we talk about helping you and your loved ones improve and enjoy your quality of life. My name is Ken Haglund, and joining me today is Laura DeVore, author, educator, and very experienced licensed therapist. And she's here to discuss her book, Darkness Was My Candle, and to talk about her own healing journey. Well, Laura, first of all, before we jump into that, how can people get your book?
It's on Amazon regularly.
Okay.
I think because it's been out since 22, you can also get it at Barnes & Noble, but they have to pre-order it, and it has to come in. They don't carry it.
Oh, got it. Okay.
On an ongoing basis.
Okay. And if people are interested in learning more about you and your book, LauraDevore.com.
Right.
So LORA, Laura DeVore, DEVORE.com, LauraDevore.com. And the book is called Darkness Was My Candle. And the subtitle is An Odyssey of Survival and Grace. Well, let's jump into the book. I know people are probably really curious about this book, and you talked a little bit about kind of how you started, how you got initiated into that whole thinking. But let's jump into it. Tell us more about the book.
So I grew up with a mother who was her entire life an addict as well as an alcoholic and a prostitute. And, I won't go, in the book I write about her history as well, which made a huge difference and really changed my attitude towards her so that I could see her from a place of compassion. But I won't go into that now. But she gave me to a man for money for the first time at age 9. And so that's a pretty dark period, that whole period of my life. From then on until 16, that was happening. But in the middle of that, something else incredibly beautiful and life-changing came into my life. I really believed that I was an alien who didn't belong on this planet. I did not know one adult that liked kids. And I had no way of explaining why I was here. And one day, my mother had been gone for days, and there was no food in the house, and I was sitting out on the porch hoping she'd get back because I was so hungry. Some neighborhoods came by, and I should have known better, but because they'd teased me before, but they said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Waiting for my mother." And so they ran past me and ran in our apartment and slammed the door. And it terrified me because I wasn't supposed to have anybody in the house, and I was ashamed of what it looked like anyway. And so I ran up to the door, and I was pushing on the door to try to push my way in and screaming at them. And the upper part of the door was all glass, and I broke my way through. And everybody disappeared except for one girl named Linda, who walked me up to the weekend freestanding emergency room. And literally hundreds of stitches later and a note in my pocket, we're going back home, and Linda has to leave to go home. But I am crying because I know I'm going to get the shit beat out of me. And I walk into the hallway, and someone's putting in a new window. And it turns out it was the husband of the upstairs neighbor, and he turned and looked at me, and he said, "My wife Dale heard the screaming downstairs and saw the trail of blood up to the ER, so she cleaned everything up and sent me to the hardware store. I'm almost finished putting the window in. You go on upstairs now, because she was making chocolate chip cookies and lunch for you. I was flabbergasted because no one had done anything, no adult had ever done anything that nice to me. Right. So I went upstairs, and after that, Dale would notice when I was alone, or she'd sit and talk to me, and once she braided my hair, and we slowly had this relationship build, but they only lived there for a couple more months. And when she told me she was leaving, and the day she was leaving, I fell apart, and I just started crying, and I said, "You can't leave me, you can't. I just found you, and you're the only adult I know that likes kids. You just can't leave me." And she pulled me into her arms and just wrapped her arms around me, and she kept saying, "Shh, it's okay, it's okay." So my tears are running down. And she said, "You're a good girl, and you need to learn to take better care of yourself because your mother's too sick and can't care for you," which was such a huge moment to tell me that what was happening was not my fault, because my mother blamed me for everything. And then she said, "I would take you with me if I could, but I can't because you're not mine. But I love you." And she kept repeating that word, and suddenly I had this aha. And the aha was, oh, that's why I'm here. I'm here to learn how to understand and be this thing called love like Dale is, and learn how to give it. It shifted everything. It was a profound spiritual moment for me. And then Dale also promised, or made me promise, that no matter what, I would reach out to other people. And I would find ways that would nourish me. One of the things that nourished me was going into Catholic churches when they were having choir practice, and I would sit in the stairwell and feel like grace or God or something was just raining down on me, and that helped me survive during this time. So,
about how old were you when you and Dale?
That would have been 9, because I had already had the first event of my mother giving me to someone.
Got it.
So that was the same period of time.
Wow, the impact of the kindness of a stranger.
That's right. And, the other thing is, not only was the impact of Dale's kindness profound, and eventually I found her years later.
That's my next question, yeah.
I wrote a short story about her, and then I went looking for her, and I found her. She'd never forgotten me. Then she was diagnosed, so I went to see her several times, and then she was diagnosed with advanced cancer, lung cancer. And I took her out to eat, and we were sitting across from each other in a restaurant, and I said, "Dale, I'm so sorry it took me so long to find you. We've missed so much time together." She reached across the table, and she said, "Don't be sorry, because you did find me. Now I'm not afraid to die, because I know I did one good thing in my life. You're like a ripple that goes out."
Oh. It's time for a short break. We'll be right back to continue our conversation with Laura DeVore, author, educator, and experienced licensed therapist, to discuss her book, Darkness Was My Candle, and her own healing journey. If you have a question for us, please give us a call, 952-946-6205, or text us at 612-999-3426. I'm Ken Hageland, and you are listening to Living Healthy and Aging Well.
This is Chad, owner of AM 950. I've been telling you about my friends at Snap Construction, who are arguably the most well-reviewed exterior construction company in the metro. Don't just take my word for it. Take a look at all their reviews online. Winter is the most cost-effective time of the year to complete your construction project. A majority of Minnesotans choose to have their work completed on their home in the summer when they should be enjoying the weather. As a result, the demand for labor in the summer is much higher. The most cost-effective way to improve or restore your home is in the winter due to the lower demand. Right now, Snap Construction is offering an additional 30% off of labor to the AM 950 listeners on your next construction project between now and the end of February. Call 612-333-SNAP and mention AM950 for an additional 30% off. As always, Snap Construction stands by their work with a lifetime craftsmanship warranty. Don't wait to get a free estimate by calling 612-333-SNAP or find them online at snapconstruction.com. Financing options available.
Hey, Francois, what are you making?
Bonjour, Laura. Je fais une carte de Minnesota en macarons de Nicolette's.
You're making a map of Minnesota out of macarons from Nicolette's? Why?
C'est pour la Saint-Valentin.
Oh, for Valentine's Day. And who's it for?
Tout le Minnesota.
All of Minnesota? That's so sweet, Francois.
Je t'aime Minnesota et je t'aime Nicolette's.
I love Nicolette's macarons, too. Share the love at nicolettesmacarons.com. And happy Valentine's Day, Minnesota.
Uncover the rich history of Minnesota through Whoosh, a lively and deeply moving ghost tale. Solo artist Andrew Erskine Wheeler masterfully brings to life a range of characters, intertwining the rich history of St. Anthony Falls in the post-Civil War era with the story of his Irish heritage. This award-winning show weaves a hauntingly local and unforgettable ghost story through compelling song and storytelling. The History Theater's Whoosh plays January 29th through February 22nd. Find tickets at historytheater.com.
There really is no place like home. Hi, I'm Mary T. of Mary T. Home Health. When you're faced with an illness or an injury, being able to stay at home and receive care is important. Our home health offers a wide range of services, including skilled nursing, physical, occupational, and speech therapies, aides, homemakers, in-home respite care, and 24/7 live-in care. We'll work closely with your primary care provider to come up with an individualized plan for you. Learn more today at marytinc.com.
This Valentine's Day, give the gift of reading at Next Chapter Booksellers. Whether you're trying to survive Trump administration 2 or seeking something cozy, they've got you covered. Their newest nonfiction table offers books to channel anxiety into action. While for something lighter, check out their Japanese and Korean healing fiction, or explore their upsetting shelf of surreal, strange novels. Next Chapter Booksellers can help you find the perfect gift for Valentine's Day, whether to inspire, comfort, or escape. Located off Snelling and Grand in St. Paul, more at nextchapterbooksellers.com.
From the AM 950 Weather Center, I'm Tom Winston. For tonight, partly cloudy with a low around 29 degrees. For Sunday, mostly sunny with a high near 49. And on Sunday night, cloudy with a low around 37. Discover macarons like you've never tasted before at Nicolette's Macarons in Plymouth. They're perfect for gifts, corporate events, or just for yourself. Stop in or order online at nicolettesmacarons.com.
You're listening to AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Saturday.
All right, hello everyone, welcome back. You are listening to Living Healthy and Aging Well, where we talk about helping you and your loved ones improve and enjoy your quality of life. My name is Ken Hagelund, and joining me today is Laura DeVore, author, educator, and experienced licensed therapist, and we're here discussing her book titled Darkness Was My Candle, and we're discussing her own healing journey. And I want to let everyone know to find out more about her book and about her. You can go on the website to lauradevore.com. So LORADEVORE.com. Laura DeVore. And the book title is Darkness Was My Candle. And we are just discussing some of the book and talking about Laura's life. And thank you for sharing that. I know we kind of were in the middle of you reconnecting with Dale, who really, as you mentioned, was transformational in your life. And it was only for a short period of time that you and her were connected, just a couple months or so, it seemed like.
Right.
But you eventually reconnected with her, and maybe tell us about that, and just. Again, you mentioned off the air that you were also there as she passed.
Correct. So Dale, it turns out, had her own very sad history. And so we talked about that, and I learned all about her and her childhood. And she believed that she was not smart. She only went through 5th grade, and yet she had a heart of gold. And what happened is she was diagnosed with advanced lung cancer. I actually took her to the doctor and helped her to get help. And then she was going through radiation therapy. And so the day that we sat down and she told me that she wasn't afraid to die now because of me finding her. She asked me, she said, if I need you, would you really come? And I said, of course I would, Dale. And one night, I dreamt all night long that I heard her calling. And I called her home as soon as I woke up in the morning, no answer. And then I called the hospital where she'd been in and out of for palliative radiation. And they said she was there and she was actively dying. And I said, please tell her I'm on my way. And the nurse said, I'm so glad because we're short-staffed and she would be in here all by herself. She was in the hospital. And so I took a flight and got there about 11 o'clock, and I was there till dawn the next morning and got to sit with her through her dying passage. And I wasn't a stranger to dying because I was already working at Children's Hospital in St. Paul, where I worked with a lot of dying infants and young adults. But it was such a profound gift to me to be able to be with her at that time and give back to her what I felt she'd given to me. It was very sacred.
Wow, to be at a vigil
Right.
with her for the last few hours of her life.
That's right.
Boy, that would have meant a lot to her, I'm
Yes,
sure.
for sure it
Well,
did.
and you, as you explained, it meant a lot to you as well.
Absolutely.
I encourage people to not shy away from the dying.
Right.
Wow. All right. Well, that's okay. Great. So we got Dale.
Yeah.
Profound influence on your life.
So there were many people who were profound influences, and I'll just tell you quickly a couple of others. One was the man at the local grocery store. I was stealing spinach, and I know why spinach, because of Popeye, and I thought it was healthy.
Sure.
And one day I went in and he said, "I know you've been stealing my spinach, and I bet you feel bad about stealing." And I said, "I do." And I do, sir. And he said, "Tell you what, I've been thinking about it and I come up with a plan. If any time you need spinach or anything to eat, you come in and tell me, I'll prepare you a bag you can take with you, and you'll do a little chore for me, maybe sweeping the floor or putting some canned goods on the shelf. What do you think?" And I said, "It's a deal." And we shook hands, and that's what I did. The other one was, we lived in a dump, and there was no lock on the door, and my mother had men in and out, and I had frequently gotten trapped in the bathroom with men who would fondle me, etc. So I was terrified of taking a shower or anything. I hadn't taken a shower in I don't know however long. And one day, one of my favorite things to do just to relax is to walk through a place which was about a block and a half away called the Karcher Hotel. And one day I decided to take the elevator upstairs. I'd never been upstairs, and I noticed that all the bathrooms were right off the hallways, and towels and everything were there. So these were the old days. And so I went in and I took a bath. And after that, I started taking a bath in the Karcher Hotel. And one day I got out, and this African-American woman standing outside the door with her arms closed, and she said, "Are you and your family living in this hotel?" And I said, "No, ma'am." She said, "Then why are you taking a bath in our hotel?" And I told her, because the men would bother me. She said, "Okay, I got to think on this a minute." And then she said, if you will only take a bath the days I'm here," and she told me what her days were, "and only on this floor, I'll look out for you." And after that, she put bubble bath in the water, sometimes left candy bars on the bathtub for me. And that's how I got through that year, was by taking baths in the Karcher Hotel.
About how old were you at that time?
I was probably 11 up to 12.
Okay.
I was with my mother until 16, and then I was eventually, I had a horrible suicide attempt. My mother got involved with a psychiatrist from Great Lakes Naval Station, and there were parties and on base and lots of women and girls was all prostitution. And I couldn't tolerate it or take it anymore. And so I had a horrible suicide attempt. I was in the hospital for quite some time. And then the court took me away from my mother. And so then I was in the foster system for a period of time. And because of the some other more kindness that we don't have time to go into, I was able to eventually decided to go to college and got a couple scholarships and went off to college, and things were going well. And I was working part-time at a small community college on the weekends, and a man who was in his 50s kept stalking me. He started off by inviting me on dates. He was late 50s for sure. And I kept saying, no, I don't date. And then he pulled me into the broom closet, and then he started showing up in the halls at school. And then eventually at the bottom of the L station. And if it hadn't been for a gentleman who was coming down from the tracks, who scared him off, I don't know what would have happened. And I got home to the dorm, and I realized that they were closing the dorms, and I had nowhere to go. And I had the day before, because this man was scaring me so much, had quit my job. So I had nowhere to go and no money. And I did what I had done as a kid. At times, I thought, well, I can just die. And so I took a handful of some kind of pills, probably just aspirin or something, and then I made myself throw up, and I thought, well, that was lame. I don't want to die. And then I went and told the house mother what I had done, and she said she could find jobs for me. I wouldn't have any trouble, but she was going to put me in a taxi and send me to a local hospital to get checked out. So I did that. It turns out that local hospital said I was fine, but they were going to send me across town to a place called Illinois State Psychiatric Institute, which was a research hospital. And later I learned that they had put up posters looking for particular kinds of clients. And the ward I was put on was for young adults who had no family. So they could do anything to me. And so I was kept at ISBE for quite some time. And eventually, I wouldn't take the drugs. I kept running away, and eventually they had me committed to the worst state hospital in the system, Elgin State Hospital. And had it not been for an amazing woman named Dr. Sidney Krampetz, who worked at the first hospital and was so incensed and enraged by my being committed, I never would have gotten out. In those days, you were committed for life. Right. And Sydney was furious. And she later told me that they did that because they were so pissed off at me, excuse my language, but that's what she said, because I was messing up the research.
Well, right, you weren't being cooperative.
Exactly.
Oh.
And Elgin, I can't even tell you how awful that was. So I was there for 15 months, and eventually Sydney was able to get me out. And Sydney and I continued to have a relationship all those years. And we eventually went back to Elgin and visited Elgin together.
Wow.
And I went through a profound healing of not only grieving for how awful it had been there, but I felt sorrow for the people who had worked there. It was created. It was like a prison, and they didn't have enough people, and I'm sure they were afraid of all the individuals there, and so that's why they treated us so badly.
Wow.
So I spent a lot of time in restraints. There was a group rape by a number of men. It was a really awful place, but Sidney Krampetz changed my life as well.
Well, let's talk about how she changed your life here when we get back from the break.
Okay. Thank you.
It's time for a short break. We'll be right back to continue our conversation with Laura DeVore, author, educator, and experienced licensed therapist, to discuss her book, Darkness Was My Candle, and her own healing journey. If If you have a question, please give us a call, 952-946-6205, or you can text us at 612-999-3426. I'm Ken Hageland, and you are listening to Living Healthy and Aging Well.
Hi, I'm Mary T. I'm a proud supporter of AM 950 because this station shares the values that I care about most: community, connection, and making a difference. Just like AM 950, I believe in using our energies, our resources, and our voices to lift up others. That's why I started the Mary T. Scholar Program at the University of Minnesota College of Education and Human Development, providing graduate students with internships internationally. For over the past 10 years, our students have served communities in Laos, Cambodia, Nepal, India, Cameroon, and Thailand, gaining experience and helping people in ways that really make a difference. Supporting AM 950 fosters conversation, awareness, and action in our communities. It's about shared values and believing that together we can make a difference. Visit MaryTinc.com to learn more about the work that we do.
Do you need support living safely and independently in your home? Don't wait until a fall, accident, or unsafe step forces change. Rebuilding Together Minnesota provides home safety repairs and mobility modifications at no cost to low-income homeowners, helping older adults stay in the homes they love. Offering aging-in-place home modification services like grab bars, railings, slip grips, and ramp installations, your safety and autonomy are their priority. Need safer stairs, porches, or decks? They handle full replacements. They also install fire safety essentials like smoke and carbon monoxide detectors. Applications for services run through March 31st, 2026. Once that window closes, you'll have to wait for next year's window to apply again. Don't risk another unsafe day. Let your neighbors help. Apply today at rtmn.org and select Apply for Help. That's rtmn.org and select Apply for Help. Or call 651-776-4273. Rebuilding Together Minnesota. Safer homes, stronger independence.
Greg Bakken here. I've told you about the out-of-the-world roast beef sandwiches at Maverick's Real Roast Beef, but I haven't told you about their Philly steak sandwiches, turkey bacon avocado sandwich, BLT, crispy chicken, fish sandwiches, brisket, or pulled pork. Okay, you get the idea. They make a lot of delicious food to the same standard as their famous roast beef sandwiches, and now I'm starving. I'm going to go to Maverick's Real Roast Beef off Lexington and Roseville, and you need to go too. Check out their menu at mavericksbeef.com.
My name is Major John Wesley Powell. It's 1869, and I'm leading a motley crew down the rough waters of the Grand Canyon in the name of America, and to name everything we see after ourselves. Join us for the danger, the friendship, and the adventure of men on boats at 10,000 Things Theater, running February 19th through March 15th. For tickets, visit 10,000things.org.
All right, welcome back, everybody. You are listening to Living Healthy and Aging Well, where we talk about helping you and your loved ones improve and enjoy your quality of life. My name is Ken Hageland, and joining me today is Laura DeVore. She's an author, educator, and experienced licensed therapist, and she's here discussing her book, Darkness Was My Candle, and also discussing her own healing journey throughout this, which you chronicle in your book. And if you're interested in getting a hold of her book, it's on Amazon. You can also go to her website, lauradevore.com, LORADEVORE.com. And is there a way to order it from your website, Laura? No. Okay, so it's either Amazon or you can go to Barnes & Noble and order it through them. Okay. And you released the book in 2022. And boy, just a little bit of time I've had here with you, that would be quite a book to read. I see you've got a copy of it right here, and it's got a lot in it. This is the last segment of the show, so I want to continued with, was it Dr. Sydney?
Sydney Krampitz.
Krampitz. Sounds like, as we talked off the air, she was very instrumental in helping you in creating a trajectory for your life.
Absolutely.
Would Munches share that with us?
So Sydney literally risked her own career to get me out of Elgin. And she and I stayed connected. We eventually went back to visit Elgin. And it was a profound journey for both of us. And I had the incredible intuition that Sydney was really beginning to fail, and that I asked a friend of mine if she was available right after a particular Thanksgiving weekend, and she said she was. So my friend Sandra Julian, who's a gifted she's gifted at so many things, but she's a gifted photographer and videographer. So we went to see Sydney. She was in a nursing facility at the time, and I was able to actually get her on video, and that's on the website. So there's more about Sydney, and there's a picture of her on the website. And she literally changed my life. And I eventually went back to school. And that's Dale.
Yeah, that's Dale, yeah.
I went back to school and finished my degree, and eventually got married. And anyhow, you'll have to read the book to learn the rest of it. There's just a lot more. But what I want to say is, if there's any audience members who've gone through trauma themselves, what I want you to know is I really feel like I'm a beacon of light. And I want you to know that no matter what you've gone through, if you get the right kind of help, you can completely transform, as I did. The last part of the book is all about transformation. And it's about how the world of hospice, because I was caring for people in hospice at the time, changed me. Because, I got really kind of negative about spirituality for a while. I was like in a spiritual no man's land. But when working in hospice, I began to see the beauty in dying and the grace, and how much we can make a difference for others, and what a sacred time that was. And that transformed me, among other things. There's been so many things that have been transformational in my life, and there's a lot of that in the last part of the book. It's not just the dark parts.
Right. Well, you, being a therapist, you have helped untold number of people.
Yes.
Through helping them with their journey.
Correct.
What would you say was some of the things that you find, and I'm not sure if there are certain type of clients that you would focus on, but what are some of the common things that people struggle with that you have helped people overcome?
One of the things is communication. I see so many couples, and they just don't know how to communicate ways that are healthy.
Right.
and it's so I work with them on that, and there are tools that I teach them which can make a huge difference. And I also work on people who have low self-esteem and who don't know how important self-love is. I had to learn that myself and learn to really love myself. Speaking of love, it's Valentine's Day, so those of you out there who are listening, I hope you'll take time not just to, spend some love on others, but yourself today, because that can make such a difference in our lives. We become different beings as we begin to love ourselves.
What are some of the techniques, or again, you were a part of the Center for Mind-Body Medicine, and you talked about a story about, it was in Haiti, right?
Correct.
Again, where you were helping them with techniques to be able to overcome and to be able to maybe step back and see a bigger picture. It's right. So easy. We get so myopic and focus on what's in front of us, and it just takes someone like you or others to help people step back a little bit and get some perspective. What are some other things that in the last couple minutes that we have that can help encourage people?
Breathing techniques. There's something called diaphragmatic breathing, and it's also called soft belly breathing, where you breathe in through your nose and then out through your mouth, all the way down to your abdomen. And if you do that at least 5 or 6 times, you'll feel, you can literally feel your nervous system readjusting and slowing down. So that's one. Another is guided imagery. And I was working in a homeless shelter years ago, and none of the women could think of any kind of imagery that they felt comfortable with. And I said, if you could do anything you wanted right now, what would you do? They said they'd pretend that their children were off with someone and they'd take a nice warm bubble bath. So I led them in guided imagery of being in a bubble bath. The other thing that I think is so important for people is we create beliefs when we're very, very young. For instance, when I was working in that same homeless shelter, there was a mother who was very overwhelmed all the time, and she had a toddler who would walk up to her, and the toddler would say, up, up, and the mother would say, stop it. Why do you have to be clinging to me all the time? And that would have resonated in that little girl's psyche years later as, I don't have a right to have my needs met. Right. So I have people do a whole exercise on excavating their beliefs, the beliefs that no longer serve them, which makes a huge difference. And I do that regularly with people.
Wow. Boy, that's, whether we believe we can or believe we can't, we're right. It's just so amazing how, as we talked off the air, just the mind-body connection.
Right.
How the body can manifest so much that's going on in the mind.
Right. That's right.
It's really a signal telling us, hey,
that's right.
You need to deal with this.
That's right.
And wow.
And the other thing is, when we've been traumatized, there's a wonderful book out, I can't remember the author's name right now, but it's called The Body Keeps the Score. And it definitely does. The body keeps the score. So we have to pay attention to how we treat our bodies, what we feed our bodies, and how we take care of our bodies.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because otherwise we add more trauma, but we can completely heal from it.
Well, that's encouraging. That's very encouraging from someone who has been helping yourself and helping others.
Right.
Yeah. There's another book out there called Feelings Buried Never Die. And it's the same thing. You got to just address and work with somebody who you can trust to address it with.
That's right. Thank you so much.
Well, this has been great. Laura, thank you for being here today and for sharing your story.
Thank you.
I really appreciate
that. Happy Valentine's
Day.
Happy
Valentine's Day.
To you and everyone else.
Thank you. Well, I want to thank Laura DeVore, author, educator, and experienced licensed therapist, for sharing her book, Darkness Was My Candle. And she also shared her own healing journey. I would really encourage you to check that book out. And you can get that through Amazon, or you can order it through Barnes & Noble. And her website is Laura DeVore, so L-O-R-A, DeVore is DEVORE.com. All right. Well, we hope you enjoyed today's show, folks. Please contact us with any questions or comments you have regarding today's conversation. You can reach us anytime by voice or text at 612-999-3426. Join us again next Saturday at noon for another broadcast. And thank you for listening to Living Healthy and Aging Well, where we talk about your health and your life. Until next time, choose to live well.
Hey, it's Patrick for Zero Res. February is the month for love, so when was the last time you gave your carpet the love and attention it deserves? Maybe you've been procrastinating on the holiday post-mortem cleanup at your house. Are you worried if you got down on your hands and knees